Coming up on today's show.
I don't have a dedicated office space, so I get to work out of the kitchen.
So every business uses, but there's all kinds of different kinds of files. You've got things that you're actively working on, you got archive. How do you deal with files in a small space?
I also have space in a drawer to put it away. So if we were having entertaining or something like that, I can very quickly just open the drawer and I've got an empty spot in that drawer that my computer will lay.
How to organize an office in a small place, today on Keeping You Organized. Hello, welcome to Keeping You Organized. Today we are going to deal with a problem that a lot of people have, which is they've got a tight space, maybe for at home or maybe even at work. The things we're going to talk about today are how you set up a working office in a small space. And we're going to bring on Amy Tokus, freshlyorganized.com. Amy, welcome to Keeping You Organized.
Thanks, John, for having me today.
Yeah, so it looks like maybe you're in your office, but maybe you're in your kitchen too. Can you kind of explain what's going on there?
Right, exactly. That's exactly what's happening. We moved into a new house in the spring, and I don't have a dedicated office space, so I get to work out of the kitchen. So I really had to consolidate what was going to be in my space, so it was functioning for me and not taking up the whole kitchen so I can still cook.
Great. Well, a lot of people deal with this issue of small space. I think small homes even, there's just a whole movement there. But, business functions like business, and you have to kind of do some standard things no matter what size your office, whether you're on the top floor with a huge office or in the kitchen with a limited space. So let's how do you want to attack organizing a small space like this? What are your ideas on this?
Well, you mentioned some people have big offices, some people have small offices, but typically we're doing the same things all the time. So we're working on our computer. We could be printing. Some people are printing a lot, others aren't. But identifying the things that you're really doing in your office all the time. And if you do that, then you can identify what you need in your office.
Okay.
An example is a stapler. I never staple papers at all, but staplers, I have a stapler in my office. But that's something I could move out of my office and it could go somewhere else.
Yeah. Now I've heard in some of these like mobile offices or, like either in a car or maybe in some of these trendier office buildings where like they give you a space, but you're sharing it with 5 other people and you're maybe only there 1 day a week, that maybe they have like a little box of stuff like that maybe you would use, but you move it around with you instead of keeping it in one place or on the kitchen counter.
Exactly. You can do a bag. I know a lot of, we have one of those places locally here, and the ladies that come in there, they usually have their stuff in a bag and their files that they're using for projects, their highlighter if they need that, but it's just the bare essentials of what they need for their projects.
Okay, great. Well, let's talk about like files, because that's one thing that, every business uses, but there's all kinds of different kinds of files. You've got things that you're actively working on, you got archive. How do you deal with files in a small space?
Well, you have to keep only the active stuff there.
Yeah, makes sense.
Typically the reference stuff is gonna have to go somewhere else. You might be really lucky and have space in your small office for reference if you just have a little bit of reference. But if you don't, and if it's something you're just grabbing once a month, then put it somewhere else and you can go and grab it when you need it. But it's not, it doesn't have to be taking up your prime real estate in your office.
Right. So what would you recommend as far as like a container or something for those active files that you would use? And would you keep it in that space, or even for your active files, do you move that, like say in your office there, do you have a little file box or tray or something you use?
I have 2 file boxes, actually. I have one on my counter. I don't know if you can see it, but it's behind me. And it has my receipts that I'm gathering for my business. It has my active things that are happening every day that I'm putting something in all the time. Now, down below, I have a crate that has files in it that works like a drawer. So I can pull it out. It's in a cabinet and I can pull it out and I have all of my files that are also active, but they're not everyday use.
Okay.
Then for me, I have one of my files, and you're going to laugh at me, is to file. So I have items that I'm collecting that I don't need in my active area, but I do need to hang on to them. So they could be tax related, they could be legal related. I have it in my to file. And when that file gets a little full, I take it down to my reference area, which is in a whole different area, and put it away where it goes.
Great. So let's talk about when you're just arriving to your kitchen office in the morning. What is there anything? Is there anything?
With my coffee.
Yes. Is there anything sitting out, or what does it take to get up and running, to boot up this office?
I just have to turn on my computer.
Okay. Well, and do you have do you use a laptop?
I mean, that's pretty much it. I have a to-do box.
Okay.
My high importance to-do items. Actually, I have a couple sitting on the counter sometimes. Today, I do have some because we're doing passports tomorrow, and so I got to get all my paperwork done for that. But then my work stuff is typically in a drawer. I have a to-do paper holder box, and that is I open it up and I've got my few things I need to get done each day. And then most of it's on my computer though. And that's how a lot of people are working these days. Most things are on their computer.
Right. Are you using like a laptop or I can't imagine you having
Yes.
a tower there or something. So you got a laptop
Yes.
or an iPad, something like that you bring in and bring out. Like do you keep that somewhere there, or do you keep that in another room?
So I have a couple of options. I usually keep it just right here on the countertop. This is a space that I don't need for everyday cooking and things like that. So it's very easy just to keep my laptop right there. But I also have space in a drawer to put it away. So if we were having entertaining or something like that, I can very quickly just open the drawer and I've got an empty spot in that drawer that my computer will lay, and then it's not on the counter.
Great. Well, listen, we're going to take a quick break here, and when we come back, I want to talk about some of that transition timing. You know, what do you do when you move from having it be an office to maybe you're having a party, or maybe you are moving into dinner. So we're talking about setting up an office in a small space and how to get it organized with Amy Tokus, Freshly Organized, and we'll be right back. Get organized now at myorganize.life. Need to turn those piles into files? We've got you covered. Hundreds of organizing products in a dazzling array of colors and sizes. There's an organizing solution for you. Shop online and they're delivered right to your office. Get organized now. Go to myorganize.life. That's myorganize.life. Get organized now at myorganize.life. We're back now on Keeping You Organized, talking about how to organize and set up an office in a small space. A space maybe at home or work. Right now we're talking with Amy Tokus, Freshly Organized. And Amy, so you're in your kitchen right now, and that's where you have kind of your home office. But before the break, we talked a little bit about like, what do you do to transition? We talked about coming in, and there's a few things you've got to open up and get ready. But let's say it's lunchtime. What do you do at lunch break? Do you move this stuff to the side, or you have other spot in your kitchen to cook lunch, or how does that work?
Yes, you know what, my office is not in my prep zone at all. So it's out of the way. It's kind of in a corner. And so I can just leave everything out. It's not like I have to put everything away every meal. If I were doing that, then I would probably have my office somewhere else, because that's a lot of work for every time someone's eating. And then I would probably move mine into a different space if that were an issue.
Okay. Now, I know my wife has a home office, and I know that she can't go, it's a separate room, but she can't go work until the kitchen is cleaned. Is that one of your rules? I mean, because you've got visual space there. You could probably see if the dishes are still on the table or if there's still some cleanup. Or are you just so organized that you clean that lunch up before you go back to work?
So most people who work out of their house, or a lot of people, they're not necessarily working in their office. Some people work in their office, but the solopreneurs that I've met, I work with a lot of people who have home offices, they're dragging their laptop off somewhere else and working. They might work at the dining room table, they might work in the living room on the couch with their feet up. So that's me.
Hmm.
I don't sit right here at my desk and work. I am traveling around through the house depending on what my mood is the day. If I have a lot of paperwork and projects, I will move over to the dining room table and work on it and then bring it back when I'm done and
Okay.
clear it. So when we say office, I'm saying office is where we store the stuff we need to run our business. It may not be actually where we work if it's a home office.
Okay. So let's go back to this idea of setup and how we the kind of the essentials you need. Obviously, you have your computer. It sounds like you have two different boxes, a to-do box, and maybe your box is kind of holding some receipts. What other must-haves are there for a small space?
That's a really good question. And that is completely customizable to what you need.
Hmm.
So when I first started out, I had all the office supplies. I had paper clips, I had rubber bands, I had stapler, I had my printer right next to me. I had to have my printer paper stored. I had everything I could possibly need was in my office. And when I shrunk down to this smaller space, um, I realized I can only keep here what's necessary. So I never use paper clips. I might use one every 6 months. So my paper clips are somewhere else.
Hmm.
I never use rubber bands. So my rubber bands are somewhere else. It's things like that that you just keep what you're actually using.
Right.
Printing, I print maybe once a month. I'm not a big paper printer. So that's another thing, that my printer is in a different location. It's not right here in my office.
Right.
Now, if I were printing every single day, then I would need a space for the printer.
Right. Now, you work with a lot of different clients. What are some of the most creative spaces that you've run into that people have used? Or maybe another part of that question is, when you're looking for a space within your home, what are some of the creative places you can carve out, enough room to work?
Good question. I've seen, we're in the Midwest, so a lot of people I know have designated office spaces in their homes. But I have seen people who have had office spaces in a closet, and it's not even a walk-in closet. It's just a closet with two doors that you can open up, and their office is built in. Instead of rods, it's just shelves and a desk,
Hmm.
and then they can close it up. I'm
Hey,
sorry.
that's okay. We allow pets on this show. We've had birds, we've had dogs. I mean, believe it or not, this is a very pet-friendly show. So
Good.
now you have to share the name though, because the dog now becomes a celebrity.
Oh, okay. Izzo.
Izzo. Okay.
She's actually training to be a service dog.
Oh,
So
nice.
she's a puppy.
Great.
Yes.
Great. Well, Leanne's dog is named Rizzo, so I mean, maybe they could get along, Izzo and Rizzo.
Right.
But that's getting off the point.
Yeah.
Well, hey, this brings up a good point. When you're working from home and you have like either small kids, or you have animals like that, and you have to make some phone calls. How do you kind of guard against that?
Right. Yeah. Well, so I have two dogs, and I put one of them away and one of them stays out,
Okay.
because then they don't start wrestling. But typically, if I need to, I will go off site so that I don't get interrupted. I go to another room and close a door so that I don't sit there somewhere else. See, sorry.
Yeah.
I'm gonna I'm gonna have to let her out.
Okay, that's great. See, this is the great thing about recording live because you have to show her too, so we can get a good idea.
Here she is. I don't know if you can see her.
Oh yeah, is that like a golden or?
Yes, she is a lab golden mix.
Oh, fun.
So, anyway, she's a good dog.
Those are great dogs. Yes, those are great dogs. Okay, I'll give you a second to get situated there. But hey, that's a perfect example of how you can be flexible in a home office, right?
Right. You have to work around what's happening in your space. And so, now one of my teenagers is up. They don't have school today, so she's making her breakfast.
Oh, great.
But she's going to be quiet. But you have to
bring her on the show too. Come on, let's go. She's probably still in her pajamas, right?
Yeah, I think you want her too.
Okay.
So I apologize,
but
this is working from home.
Absolutely.
And in my office, I have to be open to stuff like that. So if it's super important and I need not that you guys aren't important, everybody was asleep earlier. So.
I'm surprised. I'm surprised they're up this early, for a day off from school,
Right. But it's part, you have to have a space where you can have some quiet if you're doing calls and things like that. I work with clients virtually on the phone. And a lot of times I have to, go in a room, have my headphones on and close the door so nobody can interrupt me.
Right.
And I can't hear anybody.
Okay, well, as we wrap up here, let's just think are there any other little tips or tricks or things that you should look at when you're trying to set a space up or pitfalls to avoid?
Just keep what you need. Be a minimalist. And if you need something that you've put somewhere else, remember you can always bring it into your space. You can put things out of your space. Have that flexibility. Have a backup space for all that reference and low use items, and enjoy it. Embrace where you're at, and make your space fun. I love being in the kitchen because it's where I live. It's
kind of bright there too. It's a great environment.
Right. Yes, it's good.
Awesome. Well, Amy, before we go, just tell us a little bit about your business, the kinds of services you offer, and how people can get a hold of you.
I am in Omaha, Nebraska, and I own Freshly Organized. And we help residential, we help solopreneurs. I work time management, productivity. We do it all here.
Awesome. Great. FreshlyOrganized.com is how they can get a hold of you. Well, Amy, again, another great episode. Now you can, are you going to work the rest of the day now that the kids are off, or are you going to take a little time off too?
No, I'm working today.
No rest at all.
For clients right when we get off the phone.
Okay. Well, sounds great.
Thanks, John, for having me.
You bet. Well, there you have it, folks. Now you've got some ideas on how to creatively set up a office in a small space. Apply these things. Call Amy if you get stuck or whatever, and make sure you come back next time on Keeping You Organized.